go?
Good to go.
Okay, Trevor, we did the intro. Have you guys heard of CoStar at all? Anybody? Because a couple subscribers are actually.
I'm subscribed.
Are you a subscriber? I know. Is James your account rep? Okay, you mentioned that you might become a bias. So that's good to have someone else in my corner, and Alex with LoopNet, which I'll touch on a little bit about CoStar. But if everybody else with a blank canvas, there's not enough time to go through even half the database. So I'm going to make it a quick, brief overview just to describe exactly who we are, what we do, and then show you a little bit about the access that we have. Feel free to be interactive. But yeah, I guess I'll just start fresh. And like I said, I met Alex briefly. He came into the office. He wanted to see the platform himself, and he has his licensed broker. But these marketing events are an awesome way to network. So I'll just dive right in. Investing in you, CoStar, commercial real estate professionals. They spend a lot of time looking for information: who owns what, how much square foot's leased out, how long's the lease, how big's the portfolio of the owners you're negotiating with. Takes a lot of time. You end up looking like that. That's where the secret of, okay, what's CoStar? How do you streamline that searching time and all that data collecting? So we're actually an international organization. We're in the S&P 500 recently, and we're in the NASDAQ 100. So a very large U.S. software organization, $3 billion, some big power numbers there. But I just really wanted to share the new S&P 500 is given a lot of international recognition there. But we also have been acquiring other data sources and CoStar is the center driver. I touched on LoopNet today because it is a marketing that's basically like a digital billboard all across the internet. And everything's driven by our CoStar database. Apartments.com, because there's some residential brokers here. Actually, apartments.ca has been announced. We are opening and rolling it out in Toronto as of Q1 of next year. So we're really excited about that. You'll notice. But the main focus on this slide is that all of these data sources are driven by CoStar. So CoStar really has all of the back-end hosting information, and it's really the be-all and end-all for all the subsidiaries. But we also have our own research and technology. That's really the whole focus of CoStar. It's really a research organization first and foremost. We really just want to digitalize all real estate, but we're focused with commercial first, and we're rolling into the residential and homes sectors in the US, which will eventually come to Canada. But we're a research organization first, and this is how we do it. Our software developing organization, but the 1,700 researchers, there's about 100 of them in our 181, you saw the office, but 100 of them focusing on Ontario information, but 1,700 North American and in the UK, so we're live over there too. But we also give you a little bit more insight. We like to take photography, drone footage, so boots on the ground, car canvassing, so we have some images in our research. We have calling and behind desks, our research consultants, and we even like to give a little bit of updates of journals and updates in the news, which is just another news source, another value add that comes with the software. We also subscribe to third-party. We cross-reference these third-party data feeds in Canada. I'm certain a lot of you guys are familiar with some of these. Obviously, Google, MPAC's clients of ours, they use our data, we use their data. So we cross-reference these. We have an in-house research team. We have a field research team. So it's a whole research methodology that we really is unparalleled, that we invest a lot of money into to really maintain our information. Just to quickly move on to this to the software itself. This is just the visual. So this is some of our field research. This is this is what they're doing in 181 Bay Street right now. Our client relationship consultants, our sales comp team. So any sales that occur in commercial, we actually have a team dedicated to getting information about the sale, because we already know the sale came in, but we like to even contact the owners, contact the sellers, contact the buyers, get a little more deep dive. So someone dedicated to sales and someone dedicated to tenant. So that's just the visual. And last slide, but last but not least, this is to show you a lot of the, kind of the FOMO of the people that we're working with on a day-to-day basis. Some of these are actual clients of ours, and some of them we just interact with on a day-to-day basis with our research team to see what their next journeys are. I personally work with Leon's Furniture and Osmos. Retailers like to source new spaces, find out land, and help with their renewals. Brokers like to use CoStar for everything and anything, especially generating the reports, which I'll show you on because it's somewhat of an internal CRM. Owners and developers, lenders, appraisers, and government. So that's a little high-level CoStar research idea there. And I'll show you a quick, we're focused on industrial today, like you mentioned, Alex. So a quick little industrial insight of what CoStar provides. You're familiar with this homepage? You're definitely familiar. So the homepage looks like the Wall Street Journal somewhat. This is strictly commercial news. Everything's written by a CoStar employee. Gary Marr focuses on Toronto news, so any Toronto news and insight he writes. Mine's focused on Toronto too, my homepage. On the right side here, like I said, CoStar is the driver, is LoopNet marketing. And we actually have a LoopNet rep here, Joe, sorry, he's newer. And that's why, so it's hosted on our homepage, but it's also hosted on a lot of other third-party web pages that LoopNet subscribes to. To summarize the news page, it breaks it down into international news as well, because we have journalists all over, and then we get broken down into asset classes. The 3 value adds that come with your subscription. 1, you get a sales representative, which would be me or whoever you subscribe with. You have James, and they're used to kind of help you navigate through the tool. It's an intuitive platform. It's always updating, and it's nice to have a rep to lean on to say, hey, what's the fastest way to look at all sales transactions that occurred in Mississauga for industrial, 10,000 to 20,000 square feet in the past year? And we can pull up those lists instead of you going through the platform yourself. You also get a client relationship consultant. Our research team actually has time dedicated out of your day to be your partner in research. So if any services in the software that's inaccurate or you want to clarify, you actually can refer to your researcher. For example, a phone number, like, hey, I contacted this owner, went to non-service, I'm looking for who owns this asset. You can actually nudge your researcher because you're a partner with us, and your researcher say, hey, we got a lot of sources too, let me see if I can get that for you. So that's another value add, and of course the boring one, customer support. Something's not loading, it's not working, give them a call, they're very responsive. I use them myself. So that's the homepage, pretty straightforward. Any questions on the news, or we're okay on the news? I'm nervous of time, so these are the modules that come with the software. You have your properties module, which is our full inventory. We have over 7,500,000 commercial assets that we're actively tracking. Lease comp, what's for lease on the market, and then also lease comp data, so any leases that we have information on and insight. Same thing for sales comp, or what's for sale on the market. Funds is a newer module. It actually is about like Brookfield funds and how much dry powder they have, what assets are they investing in, what are they dispositioning, what are they acquiring, stuff like that. So you get to track of the large funds if you're interested in that. It's more for private equity. Tenant database, same thing for how much square footage is someone leasing out, which tenants are they growing, are they sizing down, and professionals as brokers. And I'm going to focus quickly on markets just to give you a bird's eye view of what's going on in the market today for industrial. So if we click on our markets module to start, you're going to see all the markets that we have live information on, and you can isolate this to market data, country if you want to see Canada industrial as a whole. I'm going to focus on sub-market because we're all, I think, from the GTA, so let's get a little bit more specific. And you can break it down to asset type too. I'm going to focus on industrial like we discussed. These are all the sub-markets we have live information on, UK, US, and Canada. I'm going to hop right into the GTA, something we're all familiar with. You zoom in here, let this load. It breaks it down to how our economists break down our sub-markets for these live reports. I was thinking we focus on Mississauga because it's got a lot of assets and a lot of activity currently. So if we click on a sub-market report, these are great for any clients that say, hey, I'm looking to buy in Mississauga, or we're looking to lease. What's going on in that market? You quickly, within 2 seconds, just dive into the market report. You see what's going on. You can send this off to your client as well. A great thing brokers really like is subscribing to our information. Our data is your data. So you actually can download this full sub-market report, which is live, which shows you a summary that's written by our economists. They update it every quarter. It shows you the full inventory going on in the Mississauga market. As you can see, a lot of growth from last year to this year. So over 1.5 million square feet. That doesn't surprise us to knowing the industrial market. What's currently under construction. So there's still 3 million square feet that are being constructed that we track. Net absorption rate. This was neat. It looks like a lot of people are actually going into the Mississauga industrial area, so they're probably moving from other areas, maybe downtown core to Mississauga, something like that. Amazon warehouses, they always affect these numbers big time. Vacancy rate's low, no shock there. And then you get an average market rent, and this is really the big focus, which most people are interested in off the bat. So this is a live of the market rent. $16 to $19 in 1 year is pretty insane, but this is just proof of the pudding. We already know that industrial's growing, but this is really to back up your points. And then same thing for sale price, and it matches actually the percent of growth, about 16% growth from year over year. So if you want this full sub-market report to share to anybody, family, investors, your bank can say, I'm looking to invest, this is what I have for knowledge of what's going on. You generate a sub-market report, which I thought I started. Oh, this might be it here. Yes, so you can generate your sub-market report very quickly and share this. So if you subscribe, this one's prepared by my login, but if you use the reports, you would have your login and your logo of your organization. So it's a quick way of sharing insight. It also says, like, look at all the insight I have on this market. And again, you can do this anywhere in North America for any asset type of your choice, depending on the request from your client or your prospect. So there's a lot of great insight. I don't want to dive too much and spend too much time on markets, because I'd love to get into our inventory of properties. So we saw the high level, what's going on in Mississauga. Now let's get into our properties module at the top left here, which is very much more granular and specific details on specific assets. So there's a lot going on this page, so I'm going to break it down a little bit. It's geolocated to Toronto, so it's isolated all of Toronto. All of these needles or pins, whatever you like to call them, are an asset, a commercial asset that we track. We only are actively tracking commercial right now. We're the only competitor in Canada that tracks off-market assets. Anybody who's done a commercial transaction knows that it's quite common to transact off-market. So we actually track, even if a building was bought 40 years ago, has a tenant in there for 30 years, nothing's changed, it's just been renewed year over year, we still track who owns that, are they expanding that building, when's the last time it was renovated, when's the year it's built. So that's a big value with CoStar information. The blue ones are what's on the market, what's for sale, what's for lease. So if I want to quickly see what's going on in the Mississauga market, I'll quickly type in Mississauga. Oh, M-I-S-S-I-S-S. There you go. And it will take us to the Mississauga commercial market. So one number I like everybody to focus on is the total assets in Mississauga. So there's 7,328 commercial assets in Mississauga we have information on. There's some gray needles there, so there's some off market, and of course there's some blue needles on there. But we don't want to look at all 7,000 assets. We want to focus strictly on industrial today. So let's break down just the industrial assets and see the inventory. That number from 7K drops down to 3K. Now we're looking to see which is on the market for sale for industrial to acquire. We'll quickly just see what's on the market, and we'll type in what's for sale. So now quickly, within a couple clicks, we got to Mississauga, for sale, commercial real estate, and industrial. So there's 31 commercial assets on the market today, right now. And there's a lot you can now take with just this search alone. First, I want to show that you can get even more granular depending on your client's request or prospect's request. So you can hop into our filters tab here, and this is where you can really slice and dice all the 7 million commercial assets we track over the globe into however specific you want to find. So we're looking at for sale industrial. We can find if it's existing, if it's actively under construction. We can do available space, what asking rents. We can isolate some more specifics of the building itself, so we can do the property size. Do we want 10,000 square feet? Do we need 50,000 plus? What do we need? Secondary types you can get, land acreage, is like we're looking to acquire something that has 5 acres and above, or anything below 5 acres. So you can tailor this to however you'd like to tailor it to whatever your needs are for whatever clients or whoever you're trying to get this insight for, even yourself for personal investing. I was thinking year built. Let's say our client, our subject here, wants to buy an industrial asset that's built past 1995. So we'll quickly add that into our filter. So they want a little bit of a newer industrial asset. Now it drops our search down from 31 to 8 assets. 8 industrial assets that are for sale on the market in Mississauga right now. So before I dive into a specific property card and wrap it up here, I just want to show you a couple other tweaks that have become useful. Saving this search is a quick way of now doing the prospecting, so you don't have to go back to this search every time. If you save this and enable alerts, it will actually alert you if any changes happen with those 8 assets or with your search. So if you do an industrial search for sale that fits this criteria, and our research team in Toronto updates the platform and says like, hey, a new one's for sale, or something just sold, or this is now actively under contract, you'll be alerted. So it somewhat gives you that like a up-to-date status of what's going on, what activity is going on with that search that you're trying to focus on. So that becomes a handy feature. And before I show you the property card itself, you can take this into a list view, which is a quick way of looking at it in more of an Excel file. If you want to export this, share it around, share it to anybody you'd like. It just breaks it down in another viewpoint. And then my favorite is the Analytics tab, which is now the software calculating the 8 assets. If we remember at our market report, it looked around 1901 or something like that. It's 1982 is the asking price for all that's for sale or for lease on the market right now, and that's the sale price. So it's taken a big jump. So if you're trying to explain to your investor why you can't get anything in Mississauga industrial for under $10 million, you got some proof in the pudding to make that argument. So those are the other big features. And now, just to wrap it up, we'll actually see the information we have on a specific for sale listing on the market. So you'll click into the property card itself, which is really what we're all really trying to find and source the right building and the right asset. So it gives you a lot of insight on specific assets. You got, so this building's 13,000 square feet, built in 2000. I typed in anything after 1995, so that fits the criteria. It's listed for $7.8 million, gives you an average price per square foot, so they're really reaching on that price, but why not ask? The great thing with CoStar too is you also get to see some history of the sale and the acquisition. So this owner purchased this back in 2016 for $2 million, and he's looking to cash out for $8 million, just shy of $8 million. So, and they have a mortgage on it, which probably came up for renewal, or recently coming up for renewal. I'm assuming here, but this gives you a lot of kind of ammunition for your negotiations in a very quick manner without making 1,000 phone calls. We did this in 2 minutes to isolate this. Scrolling down on our property summary, it gives you a lot of overview and summary of this asset. This is the big one I want to show you guys before I wrap up, is the ownership data. This is probably one of the largest reasons we have subscribers with CoStar, is because we pierce the recorded owner veil for true ownership data. I'll hop into contact data, let this load, and I can see, so it's being sold by CBRE. The recorded owner is West Holdings, and West Renovations is the owner. Thomas is the owner. We have his phone number, and he owns the asset. He bought it for $2 million. You might want to call him and say, Thomas, nice deal, but I don't think I'm going for 7.8. And then last but not least, you know this is exactly what your clients wants, and you want to share it with them, or you're looking to buy it yourself with a couple family members as a great investment, or if someone has the cash here to buy it themselves on their own, that's awesome too. You'll quickly generate a quick report. So same thing we did with the submarket, we're doing this for the specific property card. So I'll quickly do like a property summary report, download it as a PDF, let that load, and now I can easily share this listing to anybody I'd like on email, phone, or whatever I'd like to transfer it around. That's a quick overview of CoStar.
Thank you so much.
Cool.
Are you able to please touch on how the data from the MLS? I know that the majority of the transactions do happen off market. How does the transition from the MLS, anything that is listed on the market, how does that get filtered into how it shows up here? Does it automatically get pushed, or do you have an intermediary space where you're double checking things? Like if you're trying to do a filter per square foot, some people may list $50 a square foot, and somebody else will put that it's $6,500 a month. Is the tool able to tell that?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm going to shoot myself in the foot with answering it because we get that question. It's usually the first one, but it is a good question. We cross-reference MLS due to legal obligations. We don't have a live data feed for MLS.
Okay.
We do have a live back-end data feed for TerraNet and a couple of those third-party, but MLS, because of that reason of it somewhat being, I don't want to say unprofessional, but more self-driven site where brokers would throw it on for sale, take it off, then update it again, and then take it off and on. CoStar tries to be a little bit more professional because we're in the commercial space strictly, not MLS covers residential and commercial. So to shoot myself in the foot to answer that question is, we sometimes might take a little bit longer to verify a listing on the market. MLS, as soon as a broker puts it up, we're not going to just be like, oh, I saw it on MLS, I'm throwing it on CoStar. We want to be a little bit more professional, do a little bit more due diligence. So our researchers will have to verify with the broker, verify with the owner. Just because they saw it on MLS, we're not going to just shoot it on CoStar. We want to have our own kind of professionalism. So there's delays, but it's not intertwined. Does that answer your question?
Yep, thank you.
Awesome. I'm open to other questions, or you can call me or email me on my card.
I think I saw some information on transit. Does it tell you like that kind of like detailed information? How accessible is the site to transit to different markets?
Yeah, we get all of our demographic information. Another great question. We get all of our demographic information from Newstar, which is a data provider we subscribe to. That's so if you take a look down here, give you some traffic insight, demographic data, which is like a radius surrounding this asset too, because it's good to know for that stuff. That's all from Newstar. We actually don't get it ourselves, and that's verified, and it's not a live source, but that's like we get their information to put into our information. It's a partnership that's been focused for demographics strictly. Yeah.
Can you please touch upon the other services that are also included with CoStar, like the sister companies?
Yeah.
Like LoopNet and the other ones, and if we have access to them from the platform, from the same website.
Well, the good thing is we've got Joe who's a LoopNet rep right here, which is awesome. He strictly focuses on that, but LoopNet's strictly marketing.
Or I would say the previous slide where you had like the different complementing
I
services.
might be able to pull
If
that.
you can
slide
please
up.
just
Yeah,
walk
yeah,
us
that's the
through
next
that
one.
and how
Yeah.
does that integrate? Yeah.
Awesome. So we acquire
Yeah.
all these brands. STR is the leading hospitality data source. It's hotels like to have all their insight and just spit out analytics. I'm not the STR genius here, but I can touch on it briefly. Basically all the rooms and the RevPAR and stuff like that, we acquire them. So on the back end, CoStar will have STR information, but there's also, since it's a subsidiary, you can't have like the Hilton's internal analytics, which STR is, but we'll have accurate hospitality insight for CoStar because it's going to show you the overview of what STR has.
Okay.
So it's to show you that CoStar like our software, it's a CoStar brand, it's CoStar database, but there's different legalities with each subsidiary that we can host on CoStar and we can't host on CoStar. The great thing is like LoopNet and apartments, all of the apartments inside our whole apartments research team, that fuels directly into CoStar. So if you see something on apartments that's showing you the rental rates of which again, we're not technically into residential market yet, but we're headed there. That's all you're gonna see the platform grow within the next year and have more rental rates. So that's a live feed. 10x is a live feed. LoopNet's a live feed. STR, there's clause for certain things, so we don't have all of it. Does that kind of answer your question?
Correct.
It's a tricky question because it's more of like a privacy laws and stuff, but all of them are run under CoStar data, and CoStar's gonna have the majority of the insight you can get from what's acquired. So I hope that answers it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.